All right, so make that better. So today it is May 8th, believe it or not. One more class, and then, yeah, two more classes, but the last class is the final. The final, the 22nd is the official date of the final. So yeah, there are two more classes, correct. But you should have taken the final by the 22nd. Right? So 22nd, and I'm not sure I'll record like the final class, since we're not going to have a lecture. So we'll play that one by ear. But anyway, today we're going to go through what are called Dreamweaver server behaviors. So a lot of what we've done this semester is program PHP programs using Dreamweaver, but we've actually done the programming manually. We've used CodeView to actually write the code. Dreamweaver has features that write all the PHP and SQL code for you. And today we're going to learn those. So why did we spend the whole semester not learning those? There was a shortcut the whole time. Yes and no. So most real applications would not really work using these server behaviors. They're not really optimized. They insert a lot of code into your page, and it makes it difficult to then modify that page. So there are pros and cons to using the server behaviors, but they do work. They are part of Dreamweaver, and we'll go through them today, and we'll look at some of the pros and cons. So let's see, what else is there to talk about today? So big news in the Adobe front. There is their annual conference is going on this week in Los Angeles, and you'll be unable to purchase Dreamweaver from now on. They won't sell any more licenses. They're just going to sell Creative Cloud. So you won't be able. There won't be a CS7. There won't be any more Creative Suite. There's just Creative Cloud, and for now, I think the pricing is $30 a month for individuals. For students, it's $20 a month. Yeah, it's pretty reasonable. Yeah, if you buy it every year or year and a half, it's cheaper than buying the software. Correct. So, and I think that student pricing is still available, but I do think that is sort of a special time period. Yeah, I'm not sure it'll always be $19.99. And even if it is $19.99 for students, if you're a student that's been using it for more than a year, you might not get grandfathered. I'm not sure how they'll do it. But there will no. The big news is there is no more Creative Suite. You can't buy the box and the licensing, and you can't use the software forever. You can only use it as long as you pay. It's going to not allow you to use it. Yeah. Oh, if you have a copy of Creative Suite, it's not going to disappear. Yeah, I don't think you could use it if you don't pay the subscription. Yeah. So yeah, so it's a big change, and not sure what that means to individuals. It's clearly a, it makes a lot of sense in the corporate market, I think, where a lot of companies have many, employees who use these tools, and doing it on a subscription basis makes sense. But for $30 a month, $360 a year, it gets kind of steep for individuals. So not sure what that will mean. What else is going on? So that's really all the news I have today. I am still in the process of going through all the final project proposals and getting back to everybody, and I will post a way to submit the project and all of that the next week. And the final exam will be posted after next week's class. So next week's the 15th, so it'll be posted probably midnight that night, and you'll have a week, at least 5 or 6 days to complete it. So, excuse me. So hopefully I'll be able to get to at least an hour or two in this class. I'm starting to lose my voice, and I've got a little cold, so I don't mean to whine, but I'm not feeling well. It might be allergies. So I'm not guaranteeing anything. So basically, let's go through what we're going to learn today. So we're going to learn a technique that that if you're building server-based systems or content management systems, it's a technique that's sort of a requirement, which is creating a user login feature so that pages are only accessible to users who have previously logged in. That's the feature we're going to demonstrate today. And the way we're going to build this feature is using Adobe's built-in server behaviors. So the server behaviors insert PHP code, which is really kind of proprietary to Adobe in a way. What do I mean by that? Once they're generated, it's just generic PHP code, but we'll get to see this when we go through it. But oftentimes to edit the pages going forward, you probably would have an easier time using Dreamweaver. So the point is, it's important to point out the features in Dreamweaver that are sort of proprietary. Why is that? Well, if you build a website using Dreamweaver, and does the website always have to use Dreamweaver to be maintained? That's really the question. And with these server behaviors, they're not really a lock-in, but practically, once they're built, they would still, you would want to probably edit them in Dreamweaver going forward. And that might not be an advantage. You know, the next person who is responsible for the site might not be a Dreamweaver user. And 99% of what you use Dreamweaver for is open. You know, it just builds HTML and CSS, and it works whether you have Dreamweaver or not. And that's why I make a point of pointing out, you know, what's proprietary, what will lock you into Dreamweaver. So from Dreamweaver Class 1, what are some of the proprietary features you've learned? What? Oh, you didn't take it. You don't belong in this stuff. So one of them would be templates. Templates are built using comments that are really only Dreamweaver templates I'm talking about. Dreamweaver has a feature called templates. I believe that's what they're called. And when you use them, you're kind of, you know, you can't edit them. You can, but you have to know the special language that templates use. If you inherit a site that uses templates and you're not a Dreamweaver user, it doesn't mean you can't use the site. It means that you probably have to rebuild it before you can really work on it. Because templates are a built-in feature to Dreamweaver that only Dreamweaver understands. PHP server behaviors are somewhat similar. You're not as locked in, but it kind of makes the site specific to to Dreamweaver. Spry as templates, Joe, very good. Spry, yes and no. So Spry, usually you get on the page using Dreamweaver, but you could also use Spry independent of Dreamweaver. It's just a bunch of JavaScript libraries that Dreamweaver has buttons for, but you don't, using CodeView, you could use Spry, and you could even download Spry without buying Dreamweaver and give that to your clients. So it's not as proprietary. Yeah, Spry is a JavaScript library, somewhat similar to some of the things in jQuery. Actually, more similar to some of the things in jQuery UI. It has a lot of widgets like accordions and things like that, menus and things like that. So, server behaviors build PHP code, or it really depends on what your site is set up as. So what do I mean by that? So let's go to Dreamweaver. When you set up your Dreamweaver site definition, for the server behaviors to work, the first thing you have to check is that you have the testing server checked, right? For some reason that has to be checked. And when you edit the site, under Advanced, where it says Testing Server, you get to choose the server model. So if you remember way back in the beginning of the class, I said, we're learning a class about server-based web programming, and we're going to do so using PHP and MySQL. But those aren't the only languages. There is something called ASP, which is Microsoft's implementation of a PHP type of language. And it doesn't run on the Apache servers that we have on our student server here. It runs on Windows web servers. So we're not using ASP in this class, but it is a choice. You might work for a company that uses ASP, and you would choose that. There are other models. Cold Fusion. Does anyone know what Cold Fusion is? Nobody think it's physics or anything like that. So Cold Fusion is Adobe's kind of language, their proprietary language for doing server-based programming. And not too many people use that anymore. And then there's Java server pages. We're using PHP MySQL, so we would choose that. And when you choose that, and you bring up the server behavior panel, which we'll do in a minute, it automatically knows that you're using PHP. That's what you're going to be using, and MySQL. So, but for these things to work, you do need the testing server set. What do I mean by that? You need this box checked, and under Advanced, you need under testing server PHP MySQL. And that might look a little different if you're using CS6. I'm using CS5 on this computer. And it should be, you're not finding that? So, so create or open a Dreamweaver site with a test server defined. So we just went through step 1. Right? You need a Dreamweaver site definition with PHP set. Okay, so you don't get that advanced thing? It's not on basic, it should be an advanced. Okay, so the next thing is something cool. So do you remember when we started working with MySQL, we created one file that does our database connection for us. All right, it's a file that we put our username and password, and it basically has, here I can bring it up, see if I can find one. But we've used this, here, it's going to be in MyTunes, under DB, and under, let's see, I think it's under includes, right? Right here, DB connector. So this little piece of code here is what makes your database, all your PHP programs connect to your database, right? So I'm going to show you how to do that in Dreamweaver now, right? Remember we coded this by hand. We got this code essentially from the PHP.net tutorial, right? Remember we got that, right? Okay, now watch this. You can open up the databases panel in Dreamweaver, right? And it'll open this panel here. And you do need a, let me go back to my, okay. And you do need a page open. So let me just open a new page. I think so, to get this, see now the database panel is activated, right? So it could be any page. I just have a dummy page here. And to create a new database connection, you would click the plus and create a new MySQL connection. And you would give it a name. This would be, accounts, let's say. And the SQL Server would be localhost, right? And the username would be, in my case, and the password, which I don't remember, so I'll have to what is my password? Let's see. Save that. I just created a new one. I lost my other. Here we go. Okay, I was on the wrong site. Let me do this again. So, okay, so here's my password. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of this. Let's do this again, all right? So, I'm in a site, and this site has a server that has testing turned on, and the advanced settings for this server has PHP MySQL as the testing server type, right, or model, right? So that's a prerequisite. Then I open a new page, could be a PHP page or whatever, right? And that activates my database panel. I've already got one database connector set, but let's create a new one. Create a new database connection. Connection could be called, I'll call it accounts again. The database panel. So you have the database panel open. Click on this plus. Right? Click on that plus, and it doesn't bring that up. So do you want me to come over there? I hate to sound like a dad. Do you want me to come over? Yeah, so you need to be in a site definition. And that site needs to have a test server. And that test server needs to be a PHP model. And then when you plus this, it should allow you to create a new MySQL connection. And this, for the purposes of this class, could be localhost if you're using the JCC. And you should be able to test it. And from here, you should be able to get to your database. And then once you have this database connection live, your database panel gets kind of smart. It could even see the tables inside your database. It could even see the columns inside your tables. It can't really, you could see the data, I think. I don't think you could edit the data, obviously. But you could view the data. You can't, I don't believe it's possible to create new tables. So we have to go to MySQL Workbench to do that. But Dreamweaver is smart when it comes to databases. In the database panel, you can view your databases, your columns, your tables, and view the data. Right? And the databases panel comes in the same panel set as the server behaviors panel, which we're going to use in a second. Excuse me. So we have a connection to our database, which is step number 2. What it does when it does this, when you create a new database connection, behind the scenes it does almost exactly the same thing we did manually. It creates a new file that has all that data in it that it uses as a PHP include file. That's all it really does. And it puts it into a folder called Connections with a capital C. And those files obviously need to be uploaded to the server for any of this to work. Right? They're sort of included onto your page, whether you know it or not, so you need to upload those. So I'm going to upload that file called accounts. And I'll put it into my connections folder on the server. Okay. Does any of that make sense at this point? Okay. Hopefully. Step 3. So as I said, Dreamweaver doesn't allow you to make changes, doesn't allow you to create a table or add data to a table or add columns to a table. So we're going to need to create a new table in MySQL. Why is that? What we're programming is a user authentication system, right? We're going to have users with passwords, and a user is going to have to enter their password to visit our website or to view a page on our website. We're going to use MySQL to store usernames and passwords. We're going to create an accounts table, right? So I've already done that. We can redo it, or we can take a look at what I've got. I've got in my database a table called accounts, and it has 4 columns: email, password, first name, and last name. First name and last name are optional. What you need for this exercise is just a username and password, and I'm using email as the username, as the primary key. Does that make sense? And as you can see, email is the primary key of the accounts table. If I go to alter table, it has that little key next to it. So and it has this check. And it has not null. So email is the primary key. That means that there can be no 2 records that have the same email, and that every record needs an email. So we're going to use email as the username. And it's pretty common today on the web, as you know. So I've already got that set up, but if you're following along with this, it's as simple as creating an accounts table with 4 columns. Email, or at this point, you really only need 2. Email and password. Okay? Email should be a sorry about that. Email should be a varchar. They should all be varchars. In other words, strings, character data types. And for password, it doesn't need to be 200, but make it at least like 40 or so, 40 or 50. Okay, so that is step on our little thing here on our page lesson for this week. That is step number 3, right? That's going to be where we're going to store our usernames and passwords. Okay. Step number 4, create a new PHP page and save it as register. So this is going to be the page where you set up a new account. Does that make sense? So we're going to create a form that's going to have username or email and password. It's not going to be the login page. It's going to be where you set up a new account. Right? So to do that, we already have a page open. Let's try to use Dreamweaver as much as possible. Let's bring up the insert panel. And we're at the forms section of the insert panel. And we're in our body, and we're going to insert a form. And we could call that form register user. That's all we need right there. And in that form, we're going to enter a text field, and we're going to call that text field email. And after that text field, we're going to insert another text field, and we're going to call that one password. And I'm kind of in split view here. Let's do this. Make our code a little bit legible. We've got our form opening and closing tags. Inputs are, as we know, self-closing, right? Let's put a little legend here. Enter your email. Into your password. And up here we'll put welcome. Please create your account. Okay. And if we look over there, it looks kind of wacky, so let's do one more. Okay. And since I've already got those pieces, let's put them in there. So let's put a text field for first name. And then let's put another one for last name. Okay. And we could probably and I am going to save this document as register, and I'm going to put it in a new folder that I created called login. In other words, this folder is going to have the pages that we're going to need to be able to log into, right? This being just the register page. So let's save it there. Excuse me. Fix it so it's not standard. You need one there, maybe. How's that? All right. So step 4, create a new PHP page, save it as register. Add a form element and text inputs for at least the email and password fields and any other optional ones you want to have. In each element, add the corresponding column name to the name attribute. So we kind of did that. I put first name, last name as the names, right? So that is step number 4. Right? So we should add, every form should have a submit button, right? So let's add a button. And we're going to call it a submit button. And the value of it will be new, create new user. Right? And we're going to put a little, we already have that. So there we go. Right? So step 5, create another PHP page and save it as the welcome page. This is going to be the page that you need to be logged into to see. Right? So let's go new file, and it should be PHP. And at this point, we can just save it as welcome. And in here, we could just put a nice H1 that says, welcome to the inner sanctum. Okay, so you have to be logged in to get to this page, right? We haven't set that up yet, but we will. I'm not sure that's how you spell sanctum, but that's a good start. So, create a third PHP page. Enter some text such as welcome to the site. Number 6, create a third PHP page. Save it as login. This is what you're gonna. This is the page where you're gonna type your email and password to log into the website. Right? So right now we're just setting up the HTML pages, and we're going to apply the behaviors to them in a minute. So create a new PHP page, and literally we could probably take this right here. It's almost the same form. We don't need all of it. Oops. But we're going to welcome, please log in. And to log in, you need your email and password. You don't need your last name. You don't need your first name. But you do need a submit button, right? And that submit button should say login. Okay, does that make sense? At this point, there's nothing fancy about these pages, right? They're just forms. We're going to use the server behaviors to make them do some cool stuff. Okay, so we're now at step 7. The first thing we're going to do in step 7, let's read it. With the register.php as the active page in Dreamweaver, open the server behavior panels and choose the insert record server behavior. So this server behavior, so first of all, here's the server behavior panels. And when you click the plus thing, it brings up a whole bunch of choices. Server behaviors are essentially blocks of PHP code that Dreamweaver puts into your page that you choose just like this, and it just works, you know, if you do it right. So the first server behavior we're going to create is an insert record. Remember, we've already done this in class with, with PHP and MySQL, but we wrote it manually. We wrote out the insert statement. We passed the data to it. In this case, we're going to let Dreamweaver do the work. So we're going to choose the insert record server behavior. And it brings up the insert record server behavior wizard, right? And it's going to say, submit values from what form? So what's the problem here? Am I on the right? I'm not on the right page, right? I have to go to the register page because that has a form with a name called register user. So you have to be on the page. You know, you have to have the page active when you want to insert something, obviously, right? So that was a mistake of mine, sorry. But now I'm going to insert the insert record server behavior, and it should still not recognize my form. Form action. Let's do this. I want form, I think it's name, right? Or ID. So I filled out when I created the form, I entered the data in the wrong slot. Let's see if it'll work. Insert record, and now it can find my form. So if you give your form an ID, forms should have IDs because they are usually unique on a page. It'll find what forms you have on there. It'll find what connections you have available in your connections, right? This is access to the database, right? And because this site has 2 connections set up, one I set up previously, one I just set up a minute ago, it's going to allow me to choose what connection. Once it does that, it automatically says, I've got an accounts table already in that database that has username, that has email, password. It kind of sets it up all for you. You see that? No, because both connections go to the same database. So, and why did it choose account? Because it's alphabetically the first. It happens to be the table that I want. It would be pretty mixed up if I tried to insert, the tables, column names don't match the form names. But if I choose accounts, it matches it up pretty good. Because I named them sort of correspondingly. Do you see that? Each column has some data, you know what I mean, that you can enter in here, that you can override the default. Where do you want this form input element to map to what database column is really what we're doing here, right? Because we're adding a new record. And then after the insert is done, what do you want the page to do? What page do you want it to go to? Does that make sense? So think about it. We created a new user. You submit it. You are now a new user, hopefully, as long as you have a password, an email nobody has used before. You want to go to the login page. Very good. And I could have browsed for it and just gotten it that way. Dreamweaver makes it that easy. And then when I click OK, it inserts a whole bunch of code into my page. A lot more than I did, but it's got to allow for a lot of different possibilities and things. But at the end of the day, it does the same thing that we did. Right? It inserts a record into the database based on the variables that come from the form after it's processed. Right? So let's see if there's a good question out here. Is your connection database correct? Is mine? I think so. So does that make sense? Do you see what this is doing, really? It's a wizard. It's Dreamweaver's built in for non-programmers that have to build a login to a server-based site. You can do it with one button, essentially. Yeah, well, and you could do some modification later on. We'll modify this code a little bit, but let's test it out. So let's put this all up on the server. Where's my files? So I've got to put my accounts up there, and I've got to put my login. And then if I try to open this in, it's going to allow me to log in. I need to create a new email, obviously, because as you saw before, I already had a record for my email. My password, I'm going to put in test pass. Enter your last name, whatever. Create a new user. It took me to the login page. See that? So let's go to our database and go to our accounts table, and there's the user I just answered. I'm sorry? So we'll get to that. Yeah, that's a good point. It's pretty easy to program something to reset somebody's password. Right? What's wrong with this at this point? Yeah, so the database administrator is somebody you got to pay a lot of money for because he knows everybody's password, and you got to make sure he doesn't want to steal anything. But we'll fix that in a minute also. All right? So, but what we did see was the Dreamweaver insert record server behavior, which inserted all of the SQL code and all of the PHP code to get from a form, to get from a form to a database record, right? In literally, I think we click one button, right? Okay. So what's the next step? The insert record behavior is pretty straightforward, mostly filled in for you. Choose the login PHP page as the go-to page. That's what we did. Upload both pages, test to register. It should insert a record into the user table. You can check it right in the Dreamweaver databases panel. Very good, Jay. So let's go to the Dreamweaver's database panel. You don't even have to go to MySQL Workbench, because to read databases, we could do them right here. We could go view data, and you could see the new record right in there. Right? So what's the next step? Number 10. With login PHP as the active file, open the server behaviors panel and add a new user authentication login user server behavior. Choose the name of it. So, and when you log in, it should take you to welcome, right? So let's do that. Essentially what it's telling us is make the login page active. Go to the server behaviors. The behavior we want to add to the login page is this. User authentication, login user. Okay? And you also have a logout user. You also have the one we're going to use next, restrict access to page. That's going to be the one we add to all the pages to make sure that they're logged in before they can see the page. Right? So we're going to create the login user, get input from form. You know what? I messed up. Sorry. Let's give our form. We don't need that. Let's give our form an ID. Login. All right, now we can see it. So now let's try that server behavior. Login user. Okay, we're going to use the login form. The user name field is going to be email. The password field is going to be password, right? Validate using either of these connections are identical, so let's use that one. Using the accounts table, validate to email and password. It's doing all the work for us. If login succeeds, go to welcome.php. If login fails, go to login.php. Try to log in again, right? Restrict access based on username and password. And click OK. Right? So that server behavior is now part of this page. All this page does is log somebody in. The server behavior is built in. So let's upload this to the site. And then let's test it. So let's go to into my name. So if I enter, doesn't take me there. If I enter what I entered before, which I'm not sure I could remember, I guess it's that, and test pass. So it's smart enough to do that, right? And to be smart enough to do that, what does it have to be able to do? Access the database, exactly. So if you look in the code, there's got to be some SQL statement here. It's using that connections that we created, right? Just like an include. In fact, it literally writes it just like we do, right? And then it sets up all the variables that it needs, and it goes to the database and says, get an email and password, where it's the emails and passwords that we got from the forum. And if it doesn't work, go here. If it does work, go there, essentially. I mean, I won't go through all the code, but that's essentially the logic, right? Welcome has no logic. So the reality is, if I put welcome up there at this point, and I just go to welcome without logging in, I could go to a new window and just type that same address. Does everyone know in Chrome you could do a file new incognito window? And that creates a new window with no sessions. So I'm no longer logged in to that website because I've created a new window that is in a separate space. It's not sharing the cookies of the browser that the other window is. And then if I go to welcome, I know I'm not logged in here because this is a new incognito window, and yet I could still get to that page. Does that make sense? So the incognito feature in Chrome is really cool because you can log in different users to different sites without opening a bunch of different browsers. Okay, so we've got some cool stuff going on, but we still don't have a secure website. We don't have we have the ability to log into a website. We have the ability to create a new account to log into a website, but there's no behavior that prevents anybody from seeing anything on the website. So logging in really doesn't do anything yet. Now we're going to add the prevent access unless you're logged in behavior, which will make the whole thing work. Does that make sense? So let's go to our step-by-step guide here. The reason I'm going through this is not because I don't know this by heart. It's just to make sure that, you know, I'm going through the steps so you could follow along. Great, I'm joking. So test the login first with a badge, so we did number 11, and that seemed to work. With welcome as the active page, open the server behaviors panel and select a new user authentication restrict access to page behavior. Choose the username and password option and log in as the failure page. So we're at the login page, we're at the welcome page. We're going to add a new behavior called restrict access to page. And all we need to enter here is this, which is the default username and password. And if you're trying to get to a page that's protected and you're not allowed, where should it take you? To the login page, right? Okay, so now let's open, let's do this. Let's open a new window here. And we're going to try, so we have a new non-session window in Chrome. I'm going to try to go to the welcome page. I guess I got to make sure I uploaded it. Yep. And when I try to go to this page now, I can't get there. I'm sent to the login page, right? If I try to log in with a bad login, I get nowhere. If I could log in with a good login, I get in, right? So, I mean, it is, if you understand the concepts, like how the pages work together, register, login, and sort of locked out, it should be pretty straightforward. And like I said, I laid it out sort of step by step in how to do this. Now let's create the test your login when logged in. Okay, so now we tested it when we were logged in. Okay, create a new page. Okay, let's do that. That's a good point. Okay, now I'm going to create a new page in PHP. And this page is just going to be called About Us, right? And I'm going to save it as About Us. And I'm going to add a server, the same exact server behavior, right? Restrict access to page. And so, yeah, so I'm creating a site. And the reason I'm doing a second page is just to show you that once you logged in, you can get from page to page. Does that make sense? So let's create a simple menu. Under About Us, let's go to Welcome. And Welcome should link to, does everyone know the Dreamweaver, where is it? Properties panel. The rubber band tool, right? You guys know that? You have an anchor selected, like the welcome word, and by choosing this and pointing it at the page you want to link to, it'll create that link. It'll create that link. So that's about $30. That's 1 month of Creative Cloud. That feature alone is worth about $20 or $30. You could save a lot of time just using the rubber band thing. So just think about it. So we want that to go there, and when we're on welcome, we might want to go to our About Us. And that will be a link to this page right here. All right? So now let's save that and put that up there. Okay. And let's create a new session and try to go to welcome. I'm still logged in. right? Let's do this. Let's create so an incognito window creates a separate session, but it's all incognito windows obviously share a session. So let's go in Firefox. Let's go to that page, and it doesn't let me in. So what does that mean? What is controlling this login process? How does the server know whether I'm logged in or not? It uses something called a cookie. It uses a PHP object called a session, which uses cookies to say this user is already logged in, and it sets a cookie, which means we know who this person is. And that cookie will be there until that person logs out, or the cookie times out, or something like that. But cookies are not shared across browsers. If I'm logged in Chrome, I'm not logged in Firefox, right? So that's why I went to Firefox. I'm not logged in that session yet. Each browser has its own session, and in Chrome, opening an incognito window creates sort of a new session, as I said before. So if I log in this session, that should be correct. Now I'm logged in. Oop, I didn't upload my pages. That's crazy. I thought I did. Okay. So this will give me a link to About Us. And you see, I don't have to re-log into About Us. I'm already logged in to that whole system. So Dreamweaver is smart enough to know that sessions are active across this whole website. Does that make sense? As long as you're in the same domain and you're already logged in and you've already got that cookie set, you're logged into that site. So you can go back and forth once you're logged in. All right? So now let's get rid of this. Let's go, all right. So, check this out. So, as we said before, storing passwords in a database natively without encrypting them doesn't make a lot of sense, because any database administrator could see somebody's password and compromise their account. So this server behavior isn't really useful in the real world. Does that make sense? Because it doesn't have the ability to encrypt the password before it's sent to the database. Right? So I'm going to show you a very simple technique to do that. But we have to get into the code because the server behavior doesn't allow us to do that. So when we set up the password, in other words, when the register form inserts that data into the database, we want to encrypt it a certain way. And then whenever the user enters that password through the login form, we're going to need to encrypt it in exactly the same way. Does that make sense? Yeah, so the actual user doesn't know what his encrypted password looks like, and he shouldn't need to, but the key is the administrator should not be able to take an encryption and figure out what that password is. So there's a PHP function which does what's called a secure hash algorithm. It takes a string of text and it hashes it. Hash is computer programming language for shuffle, in a way. But it does more than shuffle. It creates more records, right? So if you have a string, if your password is 5 letters, you don't want to just mix up those 5 letters. You know, it'd be pretty easy to guess. And number one, it's easy to guess that it's a 5-letter password. So what it does is I think it creates a string of an absolute number of characters. It might be 40. So whether you have a 1-character password or you have a 40-character password, it's going to create a hash that's 40 characters long, right? And other than that, what a hash does is just jumble things up. Sort of like a Las Vegas car dealer, right? Takes your password and shuffles it up, but it shuffles it up in a meaningful way. It'll always be able to get back, it'll always be able to redo it in exactly the same way. Yeah, that's why I said make your password at least 40 characters long, because we're going to add a hash algorithm to it. Excuse me. I'm starting to lose my voice. So, to do so, really all we need to do is go to this. We know from taking this PHP class that this is essentially how the program is getting the data from the form, right? So we could add that algorithm. I didn't want to do that. We could add that algorithm right here, and the algorithm is literally as simple as a PHP function called SHA1. And we wrap the password in SHA1, and whatever that person entered in the database, it's just going to use that algorithm to sort of shuffle it up, right? Now, for this to work, we've got to apply the same algorithm when the user logs in to the same field, which is the password field. So that should be right here. Password is now going to be equal to SHA1 in an open parenthesis and close parenthesis. Right? Now, this will not work anymore. The application won't work anymore for the user we just created, because he entered his password originally without it going through that algorithm. So it didn't get hashed. But yet when he logs in now, it's going to get hashed. So he won't be able to log in anymore, essentially. Right? I don't think so. Let's take a look. Let's go to PHP SHA1. Calculate the SHA1 hash of a string. If the optional output row is set to true, then the SHA1 digest is instead returned in a raw byte. Otherwise, it's going to be a 40-character hexadecimal number. So the idea is you don't want to know. The SHA algorithm is something that is very difficult to figure out by its nature, right? Nobody, it's very difficult to figure out, but it's repeatable. So you don't want it. You can write your own hash algorithm, but it just works. So now we got to create a, well, now let's try to get in with our other site. So let's go to, that's my user, and it's test pass, and if I try to enter this now, it's going to, didn't work. The reason is I didn't upload all of these pages. So it's a little bit confused. Okay. And I'm going to take this, and I'm going to get completely out of here. I'm going to go to I need a login. Here we go. Okay, so unfortunately I'm already logged in here. Let's, how do I get out of this session? Let's create a log out page. All right. So let's go to Let's go to About Us, right? Enter a new line right there. And then I think all we need to do is enter a server behavior called logout user. And this will automatically create a link called logout and insert it right where my cursor is on the page. And when I'm done logging out, I should go back to the login page, right? Okay, so did you see what it did? It just created that link. So I'm going to save that and upload that to the site. And now I could go to the About Us page, and I can log out. And now my session is done. If I try to go to welcome.php now, you think it'll let me in? No, because I'm logged out. It takes me to log in, right? If I go to log in, and I put in my test pass, what's up? It's trying to encrypt my password, but the database doesn't know that it's encrypted. Does that make sense? So, does that make sense? That should somewhat make sense. So let's do this. Let's blow away this user, because this record is kind of useless. It'll never be able to work with the system again, right? So let's create a new user. Let's first delete that one. Save that. I don't know if I can remember what my password is there. You know, I have to unshaw that. There is no unshaw by that. So to create a new user, I go over here and go to register.php. Enter my email. So I can enter this again, because even though it's primary key, I deleted that record, obviously. Test pass. Enter your last name is, okay, now I created a new user. I can log in. I could go from page to page, and I could log out. And I could go to, one more thing, I could go to the database and look at my accounts, and I could see that this guy has an account, but I can't read his password. So this was a sort of a combination of using server behaviors and enhancing them slightly to make them usable in the real world. And once you have that SHA-1 algorithm, which is very easy to add, the login server behaviors are actually not too bad. You know, they work pretty well, as you can see, and they're really easy to set up. So there's nothing wrong with using them, and they don't make your site necessarily require Dreamweaver going forward. It's all the code you created is standard PHP code. It might be a little gnarly because you didn't write it, Dreamweaver did. And it might have overwritten code because it needs to account for many different types of circumstances. You know, it doesn't know what you're going to select when you go through the wizard. But there's nothing proprietary about this. You don't need Dreamweaver to make any changes to the site from here on in or anything like that. Yeah, so let's do that. You want to do that? Okay, so let's, I think that should be pretty straightforward. I think there's a HTML5 input password. Web forms. Okay, did you see that? Input type password. Right? Watch this. So this is why you should be taking our contemporaneous HTML5 class. You can learn how to do this. So let's go back to our register page and go to design view, pick our password. We got to go find it in here. Oop, what did I just do? I didn't want to do that. And we're going to give it a type of password. Right? And we'll do the same. Didn't like that. Because it's got a type of text. Take that out. Can't have two types, right? And then let's do the same thing for a login. Where the login form has password, where it says type equal text, let's say type equal password, right? So let's save that, and let's save that. And then let's go back to our system, and let's go back to register.php, and we can type in that. The password could be IRENE. See that? And last name is XXX. And that works. So IRENE. See, it blocks it from being viewed there. So that is an HTML5 attribute, the simplest, changing it from text to password. So let's take a quick commercial break and look at the different types of input form inputs in HTML5. Not sure this is the best place to look at them, so let's look at HTML5 input types. So with HTML5 now we have I guess password was around even before HTML5. But these are some new types that change the behavior of your input forms. This one is a color picker. Right? We looked at the date picker earlier in the semester, right? I think we looked at this probably early in the semester. But password was, I guess, we didn't see it because it wasn't in HTML5. It must have been around before this. Yeah, I don't know. So another thing we could do is put placeholder text in there, right? You've seen that before, right? Yep. Placeholder. Okay. And then when you go to register, it puts a little grayed out your email, correct. User interface design. Should have caught that. So let's see what else is in this step-by-step tutorial here. We did that. Create a new page and add restore. We did that. That was the About Us page. We added the encryption. To do so, add a new PHP function with SHA-1 around both of the variables. Read a record, so we did that, register known. And step 17, how cool is that? So, first of all, this is how cool is server behaviors. This is the first tutorial that we completed in an hour, right? Number one, we didn't have to do any coding. Two, there's a lot of cool feature here, you know what I mean? If somebody said to you, I need a site, but I need it to be password protected, before tonight, you would have probably had to figure out how to do that. And probably thought it was too much for me to do. You know, how would I go about doing that? And here it's sort of built into Dreamweaver. It's, you know, it literally is as easy as building a form or building a couple of forms. So, and this is an important part of this class. You know, it is part of the class outline. So that's why I'm covering it. You know, having a log-inable system is a pretty common requirement. So any questions about any of this? We can look at some more of the server behaviors. A lot of them are, you know, some of them are useful, some of them are less so. As you can imagine, because they're inserting code, they have to be somewhat dummied down and can only deal with certain instances. They might not be able to deal with every instance, like, you know, encryption. It wasn't able to deal with, but we got around that, right? Number two, they're a little antiquated. What do I mean by that? So the secret is that you can follow along. This tutorial will go through the same steps and teach you how to do exactly the same thing, right? In Dreamweaver, you start over here, letting users choose a name and password, and step by step, how do you use a server behavior to restrict access and all that. So all of this is spelled out in a tutorial that was created by Macromedia before Dreamweaver was purchased by Adobe in 2000, and I think this goes back to like 2001. This tutorial was last updated. So not that that's bad or good, I'm just saying that these server behaviors were literally written and behaved exactly the same way 12 years ago. You could follow this tutorial and it does exactly what I just did. So they've always been there. The good news is they work pretty well. The bad news is, they really haven't been updated to keep, pace with current web trends. Like password, a good server behavior, you're putting a password in there, it should know to put the stars in there. I'm not sure the password, but to some degree it doesn't. That wasn't available back when these server behaviors were written. So that's really it. Like I said, one other thing I could do is let's go and look at some others. All of these server behaviors are really designed to pull data out of a database and present it on a page. And to do that, it's sort of a two-step process. First, you create a record set, and then you create usually a repeating region of a page to display that record set. The record set is just the SQL statement. It's sort of the virtual data, what the data looks like in the database. And then the repeating region is the elements on the page that are going to be created and hold the data when the data is returned from the database. Does that make sense? What we could do, let's try to do a page like that. And we'll do it outside of this. Just listen to it again. So let's do this. We have our database tables right here. Come on. And we have, let's do a list of all the albums. Remember we created those albums? I don't know why this thing is frozen. So we're going to create a new PHP file. Right? And I am going to create a database. Well, I don't need a database connection. What I'm going to do is create a record set. So in my server behaviors panel, I go create a record set. Yeah, this is totally new. Yeah, this has nothing to do with the login system. I'm just going to create a simple page that lists out all the albums, which happens to be in the same database. Does that make sense? The albums from iTunes, the albums. So let's call this record set albums. It didn't make sense to do a list of the users because there's only 2 users. So let's just list the albums. We're going to use this database connection. We are going to query the albums table. And we want to get all the data back. We don't want to filter it or sort it. But you see, essentially we're creating an SQL statement here. What table do you want to access? What columns do you want? Do you want any condition? Let's just get where release date is greater than, did we even put release dates in there? I think so. 1960. Let's check. And let's test that. Didn't like that. All right. What was that? Let's undo that. Let's save this. Because I probably had to save this file. Let's save this file as albums. Let's create a new record set server behavior. This is going to be our record set of albums. And let's just say, test that. All right. Test that. Doesn't like it. Something wrong with the record set behavior. Yeah, I don't think it matters because it's going to the same here. Yeah, that's a good call, but both of those connections access the same database with all those tables in it. Huh. Let's just get the album and release date. There we go. All right. I don't know why it wasn't working. I know why it wasn't working. Why do you think it couldn't test the albums table query? It had a blob. Yeah, it had the images in a blob. And Dreamweaver didn't know how to deal with that. Very good. Yep. And Dreamweaver doesn't even know how to deal with it in the record set or in the server behavior we're going to use to get the data on the page. So remember I said it's not a good idea to use those blobs because it's, it's not administratively easy to use. So let's hit OK here. So now we have our record set. And then I think what we do, I'm kind of doing this from memory from about a year ago, but we create another server behavior to insert a repeat region. Oh, I think I know what we have to do. Let's see. Here, let's okay, what we have to do is create elements for holding that information when it's returned back from the database, and then we bind those elements using this binding thing. So let's do this. In here, I'm going to create a new paragraph. All right, and let's just do this. And I think in here, we should be able to bind that like that. And this should say, okay. And if we save this and put it on the server, pretty cool. So I bound data to the page using the bind parameter, right? Did you see that? Let's do that again. Let's create another paragraph. So let's just do this. And here I'm going to bind the release year. And I just drag it right in from the bindings panel creates a little icon for every column that's returned by the record set. You only got 2 columns back from the record set server behavior, and that becomes available. A record set creates binding variables. And then you could put them on your page, and now when we look at this page, We get the data bound. Now, we know that we have more than one album, right? But we only get the first one. So now I think what we want to do is create a repeating region. So let's see if we can figure out how to do that. I think to do that, you select the region you want to repeat, which is this. And you go to server behavior, and you go, yeah. See that? And all that does is a do-while loop. And now, when I put this out there, and look at this page, I get all the albums, right? Or at least the first 10, right? So to create a, it doesn't look good because they're each in paragraphs, and I put, the album thing there, which doesn't, so let's do this. Let's get rid of that. Let's make this let's make that a paragraph, and let's make this right? So it stays on the same line at least. And now it kind of makes there's no reason I put those equals other than that it was the closest key to my finger, but at least I created a one-liner that looks like a record, right? So do you want to see that again? Real easy to do. 3-step process. Create a record set that knows the table in your database that you want and the columns that you want from that database, and the sort and filter conditions. In this case, we didn't use any. Then bind that to a place on the page, then create a repeating region so that more than one record could be bound. And all of that is in server behaviors. Just, what? I did not sort it. I could have. So you want to sort it? Let's do this. We're going to go back to the server behavior. So we're on the same page, right? We're going to go to the record set server behavior, and we're going to say sort by release year. Save that and put it on the server, right? So this starts with kind of blue. Well, let's look at this. Hard Day's Night is after Exodus. When we resort it, it should change, right? So, yeah. So that's the most so now they're in data order. Does that make sense? So, what did that do? By going back and changing the record set and changing this, what did it do? Well, it probably did something pretty simple. Somewhere in here, there's a SQL statement, right? Select order by. So it added an order by in release year, right? So the server behavior essentially creates your SQL and your PHP, but it only does certain things. You know what I mean? And what the repeating each one is pretty analogous to some code. So all the repeating region did was add this do loop to say, don't just show me one, show me as many as you got. Or show me, in this case, I get 6. Where's the while? Yeah, so that, I think that returns them all. 3, 6, 9. Yeah, I think we asked for there was an option to choose 10, but we asked for all. So I am, this is about very big time. Any questions? Any questions at home? Good. For real world applications, did I miss a question? Is your connection database correct? It's not coded, the password that is. When you create your database connection, you put your password in there. I think it hides it, but it's the password you got when you did SQL Me, back in the beginning of the semester. The other question is, for real-world applications, would these need to be HTTPS. Good point. So we've encrypted what? What have we done by adding that SHA1 algorithm? We've encrypted the password when it's gotten, before it's inserted to the database. It's still visible over the network. Does that make sense? If somebody is registering for your website in a waiting room at Kaiser or in Starbucks, and they're on a public Wi-Fi area, and somebody could, there's software that allows people to see text going around a network, and if somebody could see the password in there, theoretically they could grab that password and log into your account. What HTTPS does is implement the secure HTTP protocol, which encrypts everything coming right out of your browser and going onto the network. This does not do that. Now, the server behavior is not what encrypts the network. Does that make sense? So, if you were going to use these server behaviors on an HTTPS server, would they work? No, because your network, your password, both when you originally register and when you log in, will always be visible on the net because it's the server that's doing the hash. Does that make sense? So for real-world applications, that would be the one drawback to the system, and why you would want to add the SHA1 type of algorithm on the client side in JavaScript before you send the information to the server. Does that make sense? That's a good point. So yeah, we do encrypt the password, but we do it on the server. It is transparent when it goes over the network. So Steve's question is there an advantage to using something like Persona? The advantage to using Persona, we use this thing called Mozilla Persona to log in on our class website. And the reason I chose that was more for your protection. I don't store the passwords, Mozilla does. So Mozilla is much more trustworthy than I am in terms of storing passwords. And the advantage of Persona is the website uses a service to do the authentication and doesn't need that user table. Persona takes the place of that user table. And for applications like, at least for the one that we're using in this class, it seemed to make sense. Because I didn't really have the real way we should do it is we should authenticate against the student registry system. But I didn't have access to that, you know what I mean? So, because you already have a password with Kate, right? But I don't know how to authenticate with Kate. So I had you create another account on Persona and use that. The advantage to that, Steve, is the local site doesn't take the responsibility of storing the password. And I'm sure that Persona takes advantage of securely sending your password over the network, whereas this system would not do that by its natively the way it is right now. So now the disadvantage of Persona is I had to ask you to create an account on there. You know what I mean? And some people do, or some people might have a problem with that. It's just another account you have to have. The good news about Persona is you could share that identity. If other sites use Persona, you just could use the same email. You know, but I don't know if a lot of people are using it yet. Cal, you have to pay for secure server. That's correct. So to get HTTPS, you have to pay for a secure SSL key, secure socket license key, or something like that, which is something you purchase and then you add to your website to do the encryption. So it's kind of beyond the purpose, beyond the scope of this class. Sorry, I'm losing it. But you're right, Cal. There is an extra cost to running HTTPS. but some sites require it. If you accept credit card payments on your site, you've got to have HTTPS. Or if you deal with medical information or anything like that, because people are looking on networks and sniffing them for private information.
You have a little knowledge of security stuff. I'm curious because I got a $2,900 credit card charge today. Somebody bought a couple of laptops on my credit card.
Yeah, it wasn't me. But
I'm curious because I don't understand how can people sniff the network? How can they? Well, I know there's other ways that you get it, but I mean,
you give your credit card to waiters a couple times a day.
That's the way
it's just the way it's just the way it is.
But there's other ways that it's happening, and you just mentioned HTTP versus HTTPS.
Yeah, there are people that not only sniff networks, but even in secure networks, they try to find ways of hacking to see what you've typed. And there are people, believe it or not, this happens. People that sit in places like Starbucks and look at behavior. They actually sometimes look at what people type just to get passwords. Sometimes they could tell our keys. Sometimes they could listen to you, by if you're listening to your voicemail, by the tones. Unfortunately, bad people get resourceful, and some of them are pretty smart. And we, as web designers, we have clients that this is their business, right? So we have to use whatever we can, whatever tools are available to make sure that we're treating their data and their clients' data as securely as possible. So what does that mean? In most credit card-enabled sites, you wouldn't have like a FTP open on port 21. Because theoretically, somebody could guess at passwords and get in and download the file that contains these passwords or whatever. Yeah, most websites, Amazon does, but most e-commerce sites do not. They keep a record of the client, but they don't keep his credit card. And you need a lot more security, obviously, to keep credit cards on file. Yeah, that's right. Sonicus. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so some of them do, especially subscription-based services, keep your card on file. Some of them do. But to answer your question, they're securing the database, which is a couple of things. One, making sure that your system is architected so that nobody from the outside could figure out that you have a table called users or accounts or whatever, right? Number two, encrypting it even from internal people like we did with the SHA-1 algorithm, right? But all that does is secure the data once it's physically stored. And what we're talking about with HTTPS is encrypting the data as it's passing over the network. And to answer your question, it is a way that people could find and get access to personal information. And SSL is very, is very common. I've built credit card enabled sites that just use SSL. You're required to use it. You can't even go to the home page without using it. HTTPS. The protocol is secure. I forget what it stands for. Yeah, secure software.
So how does it happen? There's somebody who sits outside of your window in your Starbucks and use your network transaction? There is software that can capture packets. When you go to Starbucks, you get access to their Wi-Fi network, right? When you log in, if you've got a computer that's network aware, like a Mac, if you're using iTunes, you'll see other accounts there, right? It should make you nervous, yeah. So if your system is not set up right, you can be sharing files with somebody in. Yeah. So here, I'm on a Mac here, and when I bring up my Finder, I could see, 5, 6, 7 computers here. I don't know who these people are. Well, you have to have file share, so all of this is, I'm just talking about a Mac, but all of this is in your sharing. Yeah, so maybe the computers are turned off in the lab. This will only find Macs typically. And the Macs in the lab might be turned on or off, and that might be how many there are, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, all computers are now on the network. And when you're on a private subnet like at Starbucks, you have access to that network. And computers don't come standard with it, but there is software that can actually find those packets going from one computer to the network, even though it's not your computer, and peek into those packets and get data out, possibly. Yeah, that's possible. Yeah, they need like a packet sniffer, or a Wi-Fi packet sniffer, or something like that. In the IT world before Wi-Fi, when I worked for Oracle, what we cared about was network traffic within a corporation. They didn't do work in Starbucks and all that. There was no Wi-Fi, and we had network sniffers just to look at network traffic to debug application behavior. Is what's going back and forth what we expect. And or sometimes volume. Is this application too chatty? Does it make too many trips to the database? Can we consolidate some of those trips? So for tuning and optimizing applications. But that same technology could be used to inspect the data in the packets and steal stuff. Most of the time your credit card is compromised, though. It's probably not from something you did.
Yeah.
It's
happened to me.
Yeah, it's happened to me a bunch of times too. Oh wow, that's a lot. Might be something you did.
Well, mine got changed. The credit card company is the one that's caught it.
Yeah, usually they come. Yeah.
Today I was at Home Depot trying to buy something, and my card.
Yeah, it gets rejected. Yeah.
So I went home and I called all this security stuff to prove who I was. And then
Yeah, it's pretty common, and
laptops or something.
And the good news is the credit card companies have really sophisticated software for figuring out if there's potential fraud. And usually they're very conservative. Sometimes, look, one time I went to San Francisco, I bought a watch battery at Tiffany's, and I bought I went, Mont Blanc, those $100 pens. Somebody gave me one as a present, so I bought a refill. So I spent like $30, but I went to Tiffany's and to Mont Blanc. And my credit card called, me that night and said, there were 2 purchases from luxury stores. And we don't see you a lot in luxury stores. But because when you steal a credit card, you go to Tiffany's. You don't go to you don't go to Burger King.
Well, that's what they do. Is
they test it with small transactions first. Exactly. Yeah. So those are algorithms that the credit card companies have written that take all the billions of transactions they see every day and try to find patterns that either make sense or mostly don't make sense. Atypical patterns that lead to fraud. And why would I be in Tiffany? I did buy my wife a watch at Tiffany's a long time ago. We were just getting the battery. It was our first husband up on object. So we're way beyond the topic of this class. But the encryption thing and some of the security things, and Steve's question was definitely within the realm of the class, and a very good one, and probably bringing up the number one problem with these server behaviors is that because they're all server-based, you just can't. There's no way to do encryption unless you build it into some JavaScript on the client, obviously. I still barely have my voice, but I don't feel good. So we could take a break and come. I have no more lecture stuff. We could take a break and work on projects. Let me add, what is a keylogger? A keylogger, that's a very good question. So a keylogger, so every time you press a key on your laptop, a signal goes off, within your computer that, takes that electrical impulse and say you press the A key or whatever. There are some software that can go out and see what keys are being pressed on another computer, sitting next to you, just by sniffing on those signals, and it could possibly sometimes get your password that way. Sometimes, yeah, sometimes not. Yeah, so a keylogger typically would be something that would be installed and then, companies install that on your computer to make sure you're not on Facebook all day while you're at work. No, I'm joking. They have different loggers, network sniffers that see where you're, where you're surfing. Any other questions? So we're going to meet again next week, and we'll probably have again a small topic. I think the topic is third-party APIs. So I haven't quite thought out what we'll do yet, but we'll probably have a short lecture like we did today. And then again, it'll be open up for projects. Hopefully I'll feel better. And if you're listening at home and need some help with your project or just want to work on it, amongst us, you can come in next week. I've also been here office hours at 6. The people come to ask questions, but if you need to come in, that's fine too. Or you can always send me an email, and I can even make some appointments or help you debug things by phone if you need. The final will be live not before next Wednesday, so it'll probably be live next Thursday. There's going to be a class on finals week. Yeah. Same time, same place. Yeah, I'm required to be here for the final. So if you're not here, you've failed. No, I'm joking. So it'll be nice to have some people and we'll have something to eat. I'm not sure. I guess we'll go live. I don't think we'll need to record it though, because there really won't be a lecture. So I probably won't have that. Yeah, so we might have a special topic, something like that. Let's see, questions coming in. Facebook Connect API next week. Any Santa Rosa office hours? Will the HTML5 class have a written final posted too? Yes, it will. So the if you're on the HTML5 class, final is going to be the same. It's going to be posted next week. It'll be up for at least 5 or 6 days. Facebook Connect is probably a little bit more involved than we could handle next week, Joe. It's a pretty cool API, but number one, it's probably involved to the point where we have to register our domains and our Facebook account. So I'm not sure it's the perfect one to do for a tutorial. When are final projects due? Officially, they are due on the 22nd. Does it make sense? May 22nd, which is 2 weeks from tonight. Right? Okay, is that the same as login with Facebook? Yeah. So Facebook Connect is a feature that Facebook provides to like we have our own table in this login system for your username and password. Well, Facebook Connect allows you to use Facebook's login table. Well, a lot of the purpose of the world now was really to try to make Facebook something we could all be proud of. Now, why would we do that? Because a lot of people have a Facebook account. I'm just saying a lot of people do. And when they want to log into another system, it's a nice feature to be able to say, if you already have an account with Facebook, you don't even need an account with us. You can just log in using your Facebook credentials. So it's kind of like a single password for the world. If everyone used Facebook Connect, you could get a Facebook account when you're born, and you could use it for every website. And Zuckerberg would be, if he was smart, that's what he'd do. Because, sending pictures back and forth is one thing, but making sure everyone is securely logged in and who they say they are, there's a lot of money in that, I think. But that's what Facebook Connect does. And it's used, as you've seen, I think we've looked at this. It's used for a lot of, like Spotify. If you go to Spotify.com and you want to create a new account, you could sign up with Facebook. So if you already have an account with Facebook, you don't have to create a new account. They're just using the same credentials, right? That's one way that Facebook Connect works. Does that make sense? That's a little Facebook Connect widget right there. Another way it works is like this. In our local newspaper, when you view an article, let's see, article that would get comments. So, any comments on this one? I don't see any. Oh, there we go. All right. So here is an article. Every article on the PD now gets a Facebook Connect section. So you could comment. See, it knows I'm logged into Facebook. And it knows who I am, and I could just add my comment, and it knows who I am. So I'm automatically logged in the paper. The problem is there's 5 people in the county that comment on every article. This guy, Jeff Boyd, doesn't shut up. Yeah. So does anyone know who this guy, Jeff Boyd, is? Jeff Boyd is a... You could go to his Facebook thing and see his cats and all that, but he is a pretty interesting guy. No, he's kind of a famous guy. I think this is the guy I'm thinking of.
There it is.
His name is sending letters to the editor. I'm thinking of the wrong guy. Sorry, Jeff, if you're watching this, I'm thinking of the wrong guy. There's one guy that owns a... Here, I can find his name. Micromat. Yeah, this company. Micromat is a Santa Rosa software company that creates that Mac disk utility that comes with every Mac. And yeah, that Tech Tool Pro, they create that. It's created locally here. Now, where does it say about the company? There's no about the company. But I think Jeff Boyd is the guy that invented this Micromat thing. I might be wrong. And now all he does is get royalties from it and comment on the newspaper. So, no more questions? Any more questions at home? I am, hey, what is a safe site for free music for our projects? I can't answer that. Maybe somebody else can answer.
Internet Archive.
Ah, very good. Very good. So, Cal, I'm going to turn you on to a whole new world. Go to archive.org. Here in Marin County, there was a band called what were they? I keep forgetting their name. No, they lived in the same house, but they were the Grateful, where are they? See them in here? The Grateful Dead. So, and you could search for, 1974 was probably about their peak. Let's look at 75. And you could get any of more than 2,000 Dead concerts for free and download them. And a lot of them are pretty good quality. Yeah, Archive started as that. It's got some other features now too. But all of it, and all of this music is free. And it's royalty free because The Grateful Dead added it to the public domain. So you could pay for Dick's Picks at the last record store, but you could download the same concert with just as good quality right from archive.org. You don't get the CD cover, but to make your own. So yeah, thanks. That was a good, Paul, you reminded me of that. Free music. So I am gonna, what's the word? Discharge is not the right word. Dismiss the class, unless there are any other questions, comments, requests. You guys could stay here and talk all night. SoundCloud. SoundCloud is another place where you can download the MP3s directly from, but and I think that it's got to be licensed to be there, but I'm not sure. Whereas archive.org, you know that there's no licensing involved. Just because you can get something free from SoundCloud doesn't mean there's not a musician out there not getting paid for something. Does that make sense? So I think that's the way it goes, but I'm not sure. Well, you can't pay on SoundCloud, it's just for samples. But yeah, so here I could show you. You could post your music for free there. I guess the point I'm making is I can't guarantee that it's not royalty free. See, and just home musicians just post their stuff. So let's see. I'm not logged in. Can I see music without logging in? Search. Let's search for jazz. All right. Yeah, and each of these I think allows you to download. Where's the download? Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I think there's typically a down. I don't see the downloads on here. So it might not be the default that allows you to download. It might just allow you to stream it and play it. But I know on SoundCloud I've seen download buttons. So it might be how the person who posted it configured it. And I am going to turn off this guy. Tristan. So I think that answers that question. Some songs allow you to download. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, so I am going to stop the session and go home and drink some tea. Thanks for your time. One more question?
The MySQL database that we have
on the student server.
It's just we have just a single database. Right? We don't hardly pay.
Yeah, we
like create one just for this project.
That's correct. You don't have the ability, so you get an account in MySQL that doesn't include its own database. You get a schema that has your name, but we all share one database. You're correct. You can't create a new database, and I don't even think you can even create a new schema. You could say create schema test, and that seems to work, and you can actually add tables to it. But I think we all share the same text schema. Sorry. So if I go to MySQL Workbench. And I go, I'm logged in on my account, and if I go to Overview, see there is a test schema, and there's stuff that I didn't create. So the SantaRosa.edu, the student.santarosa.edu MySQL database is a little strange. It's not the same behavior you'd get if you got an account on a typical hosting server. It's really just an account in a database that you have access to, not a database itself.
One thing that's odd about it is where I was trying to do this thing with my trails, so I wanted to call something a track.
Right.
Of course I can't because the fact that other.
Oh, you have tracks from the so you can delete that. Okay.
So I know. But so
yeah.
Now I'm wondering, like, everybody that's in the class has.
But they're in different schemas, so that's that's fine. Yeah, it's in different schemas that keeps them separate. You can have as many tables to your project? Or, oh, you mean in the schema? Yeah, I don't think there's a limit. There might be, but I don't think there is. There might be. I'm not sure what it is. Yeah, I've got about 40. Yeah, I've got about 30 tables in mine. I think I'm okay. Yeah, it's the pictures that'll bring it all down. Excuse me. All right, I am gonna now close the session. If I could find it.